Our next presenter needs no introduction, as his legacy stands without question. We all love him, and he is our hero and our champion. Before I do introduce him, I want to share with you that I had the honor to be his special assistant for many years as he was on the path to bring our land claims back. I watched as he worked tirelessly to pay down the legal fees and find new resources to keep our case going forward. He never broke his word, regardless of those who opposed him. He did not sway. He believed in his heart that nothing could stop him as he took our dreams and vision and brought us the justice we so deserve. Ladies and gentlemen, help me please welcome President David Chartrand.
Thank you very much. Bruce, he's lucky. He gave me a good introduction that I'll let him go now. But before I start, I know he just stood up. I'd ask you all one more time to stand up. One of our board of directors had to leave, as you know. Robert Goodry's not here. One of our elders in our community, Jim Bruce, passed away last night by accident. One of our harvesters was setting a net, and he fell off the boat and went in and did not come back out alive. So, a moment of silence for the Bruce family. Thank you very much. I'm sure the family will really appreciate that very much. Well, it's been 45 years, my friends, since the Federation has come into being, and of course the Voice was somewhere out there still fighting to try to get itself known that the Métis people were as important as anybody else in this province. And of course, today in every assembly, we always acknowledge our elders, and we recognize our elders first. And it's customary, and it's important that the young generation that are here never, ever take that out of their system of governance, their system of home, their system of culture. The elders are a fundamental principle of our nation, and we need to show our greatest respect for them. So it's always important I acknowledge the elders first. And I go and thanks Norman Fleury again for his beautiful prayer. And then doing it in Michif, it sends even a greater message to our nation, that our nation actually created its own language in a short time. But there are so many guests that we do have. We didn't have two people, and Reg is going to go back and tell his leader he better see him here next year if he has to drag him here himself. Eric will make sure, my friend, to talk to Premier Sellinger. You're going to come with me, but I'll probably do the speaking. He'll just sit down, because he did a great job in his introduction and his speaking. But I also want to take this opportunity, before I introduce the rest, or I thank the rest for being here, I want us to give a round of applause for Eric Robinson. 20 years as a member of the Legislative Assembly, as a First Nation man, a politician. Kudos to you, Eric. There's a big party in the city tonight for him, and I can't be there. I got a call to go, but I want to congratulate him, because that's so important to see that somebody can survive in politics that long. It's a very, very challenging thing to do. Of course, Clement Chartier, our National President, it's always great to see him here. Mayor Sherry Decter, I can't say enough. I do her a pickerel supper that will come. We did, in fact, remind me today that I do her a fish supper. Of course, Nita Campbell and Infinity Woman, it's great to always have a strong voice in that movement. It's, even though my cabinet is made up of half women, probably half men, there's still a very, very important aspect that we always have to have a separate component in our government structure for the women, because their issues are sometimes different, as we can find ourselves as Métis people different as a minority when our rights are not being looked at equally. So that's going to be very, very important. Larry McGuire, it's great to see you here. It's nice for you to come down. He's, in fact, running an election process, so I wish you well, Larry, in your pursuit for your future leadership in this particular riding. Of course, we have another a friend of mine that's here, past President Ernie Blaze, somewhere in the back. So, Ernie, I'm very pleased to see you here. It's good to see Ernie, one of our presidents. And one of the customs that we started last year with the passing of one of our elected officials, one of your government officials, is to ensure if any of our officials ever pass on during a time between assemblies, we're going to honor them with videos as we've done there. And I put a smile there when I was watching the videos, and I wish Ken was actually here. I'm sure he could hear me because that's what my mom taught me to believe in, that they still see. I seen a spotlight in that picture, a big spotlight. So now I know what he was doing. So great to see that. It's good to see that, but we have to show our great honor and respect to our elected officials who give so much. People don't know how much it is as a politician. As I said, 20 years for Eric, to be there constant, and some of us here over 20-something years already, and it is hard because your life is really your government. But you heard our time has come. That is a statement I made when I came running down with excitement like a child in the Supreme Court of Canada, that we have achieved victory. But this victory was not achieved just alone by myself. This victory is achieved by this cabinet you see behind me and the people before that. But let me tell you about many people, and I told you this years ago in this assembly. Leaf Rapids. And I want to thank Leaf Rapids. And where's some Leaf Rapids? Who's here from Leaf Rapids? Is there a local here from Leaf Rapids? Way back there. I want to thank Leaf Rapids. When this case started years ago, and of course John Morso, who was here as a past president, my friend, where is he? John? I was going to acknowledge him separately. There he is, John, of course. Big kudos to the man who had a vision. But he also owed big kudos to a little local who had a vision. Leaf Rapids was, in fact, was the first one that came across to put money in for us to move forward. They gave $10,000. Imagine it today, you say, well, that's not much. Go back 20, 30 years. 10,000 is like probably close to 100,000 today. So thank you, Leaf Rapids, and thank you for starting the trend towards our victory today. So the message really inside there is that it doesn't have to be the giant organizations that can do things. You as individuals, small locals, can make a difference. And all you have to do is believe and know that you have a path and a vision where you want to go. And put the resources and the support and the political fight behind it. And you're going to get there. So how many times I think, probably in this room, people felt we're probably not going to win. When we first lost our first round, I bet you there was a lot of hair taken out of us. You know, we didn't panic. I didn't like it, but I didn't panic. And I saw some people out there said, okay, that's it, we lost. We went to Court of Appeal. We lost again. And again, probably the sail was taken, the wind was taken right out of our sail, and our boat was just drifting around. And where are we going to go? Should we just give up? Should we walk away? That's not the Métis way. Métis ways, well, we pick ourselves up and we're ready to go again. And the Métis ways, we went right back. And we always knew, deep down in our guts, once we got to the Supreme Court of Canada, justice would prevail. And when we were sitting in that room and listening to our litigators, and I take so much Thomas Berger for his wisdom and his vision, and I made it very clear, and when they changed the case, when I initiated the case back when I was sitting in the shelves, because it actually was not in a court anymore, and we initiated it back out, dusted it off, and we met with Berger. 5 years later, Berger and I were chatting, and he said, you know, I want to put a different strategy. I want to change the way this case is leading, because I think we have a better chance if we move it this way. And what he was saying is this, what our fight was going to be is our historian fighting the government historians. And the key on those kind of arguments is who can best convince a judge that I'm right as an historian, he's wrong as an historian, or she's wrong. So that was what the battle was all about. But Berger in his wisdom said, you know what? Let's put them on trial themselves. History is well documented in the archives. Let's search the archives of this country and pull out everything that they said and they committed and everything that was negotiated. This way nobody can twist words around. It's the fact is the fact. And there's no getting around whether an historian can out-convince our historian because they're better educated or better priced. So I agreed with him, let's go down that path. It's going to cost us more money, but maybe it's the right path. And I trust you. And he did. But the message, he said, and I said it after meeting him, we're going to put them on trial. MacDonald and Riel are going to meet again. No more, that we believe they meet in spirit, but they're going to meet again. Word for word, what they said to each other, what was said in cross-references of mediators, what was promised and what was committed. And there's no getting around that. You can't say, well, I think, I hope, maybe. It was the facts are true. They're in black and white, written in the archives of this country. There was 30,000 volumes of information that people had to see, our lawyers. And at the end of the day, Riel met, and he said to us, remember what he said to us when they took his life, when they murdered him. And I use the word murder because they did. When they took him, he said, my people will rise in 100 years. And we are. We're rising fast, and we're going to rise faster than we've ever seen. But let me tell you this. MacDonald had a vision, too, that we would be gone in 100 years. He was wrong. And I'm sure Riel's reminding him of that very often when they see each other up there somewhere. But I'm telling you what is important is that if you remember the Battle of Batoche, that was one of our historic, memorable places. That's part of our history. Batoche is very important to us, just as Manitoba was when we took over here and created the province of Manitoba. Batoche was the last battleground. There was no doubt we were going to lose. Not because we didn't have the heart or the fight in us. We just didn't have the population, nor did we have the weaponry to compete against them. We outsmarted them. We definitely won some numerous battles, even though we were outnumbered by phantom numbers, of large numbers, thousands against a few hundred. And we still won. And it's important to realize at the last hint of the battle, imagine those families standing there, and people that did die. One of them was, 90 years old? He was still in a pit there, and he wouldn't leave. And they shot him, and they killed him in that pit. But he said he wanted to take one more down. But he was using nails and stones because they ran out of bullets. Our people ran out of bullets. We were melting anything we could find to try to use and make a bullet. But this time in the Supreme Court of Canada, Riel didn't run out of bullets. We came loaded, and we won. And Riel got his victory, and so did you, my friends. The land claims is just one segment of where your government is going. It is a very, very big advancement for us as a people. You heard Clement Chartrand talk about the other aspects of the case that was won. There's a bigger component also inside there regarding the MMF had standing. Unanimous decision by the Supreme, not one, not 6-2. We won 6-2 on the victory that the Crown did not do its fiduciary obligation of transferring the land. But we won unanimous consent by all of the judges that the MMF was the proper government to take this case forward and had standing to represent the Métis people of Manitoba. So that is a very powerful thing, and I know with all the experience Eric and them have and Reg has as elected officials, they know what that means. That means they have to talk to us, they got to sit down with us, they got to negotiate with us, they got to consult with us. And I'll tell you why that's important. Many people in this room probably, in fact, always saw you being pushed to the wayside. You watch what was happening and to the settlements that was taking place in Hydro. When Hydro went to Grand Rapids and they plowed down the community, they had a First Nation side and they had a Métis side. They choose our side. First Nations, thank God they were somewhat protected by Canada. If they would have went on the First Nations and plowed on the reserve, they would have to fight with the Crown, fiduciary relationship that was there already established with the First Nations. So they picked the easiest target, the Métis. Because really, in 1960, who in the hell is going to stand up for the Métis? So they plowed down our houses and ripped down our community, tore away our economy. And Hydro thought, well, we got away with it. No, they didn't get away with it, because we're not finished with Hydro. So when Hydro started moving on building these dams and moving ahead, well, they said, well, we don't have to talk to Métis. We don't have to consult with the Métis. We have to consult with the First Nations, but we don't have to consult with the Métis. And I made it very clear that those days are gone. They're not going to do that to our people anymore. When they did the same thing with the Summerberry and destroyed the First Nation and Métis economy of Summerberry, Duck Bay and Camberville were told, go to hell. We're not giving you nothing. Don't even come here. Don't even ask. You're not going to be included. The Métis are not going to be included in this. We'll include some of them that live in the farther north, but Duck Bay, Camberville, Barrows, the rest of you people, go to hell. Well, We didn't take no for an answer then, and will not take no for an answer again, ever. We went back and we pounded the table at Hydro, and we settled for Duck Bay and Camperville for $2.3 million. So these trappers got some revenge, but some compensation for what was taken from them. But so much has been taken from us as a people. So much of our economy has been lost, and our future has been lost, because you cannot just easily walk away when somebody comes and takes something from you. That's why First Nations are fighting so hard today to find their balance in the economy of scale when their territory is being affected, as our territory is being affected as neighbors. So we need to establish how do we move forward from there. We need to make sure that Hydro is not going to leave us and just come there, put a dam, take the wealth, spend it back in the south, and forget about us as Métis families. That ain't happening. Bipole 3, they try to get around us on that. That's not happening. They're offering us right now clear cutting from the Paw to Cormorant. They say it's 10.6 up to $15 million. That's not going to be an offer we're going to take part of that offer, probably all that, but we're going to say, no, wait a second, you're affecting a lot of our future here. You're not affecting for 10 years, 20 years, you're affecting for the rest of our lives. So what does that really mean in value? What does that really mean to our children and our families? It means you have taken something from us which should be ours, and should not, you're going to pay for that. It's not free anymore. Those days are over. And that's what First Nations are doing, and that's what we got to do. Those days of free ride is over for the government, and it's over for these corporations. You look at what we need to do. You look at provincial and federal government, they give out projects, programs, services. But remember something, and always I teach you this, and always never stray from this. That is your money. Government does not give you nothing. That is your tax dollars in this room, and your tax dollars at home, with thousands and thousands of 100,000 Métis, over 100 in this province alone, and 400,000 in Western Canada. That is our money. The government has a duty and responsibility to collect taxes to run our country and run our provinces. And with those taxes, they are supposed to now invest it back to the people that are paying it. The sad part is we don't get our share back. That's the missing piece of the puzzle. So we have to fight the government to get those services to our community, to make sure that our people can get health programs and services in the community. Right now, we're working with the Minister of Health. I said that to you last Assembly. It's getting closer to getting finalized, and I'm very pleased. Teresa's not here, she's a very good friend of mine. And she, in fact, and I are working on putting Métis workers in our community, health workers. And we're going to be putting money on the table, and I'll tell you an interesting story. I'm not sure if I told you. When I met with Teresa, I took the study that I told you about. We have the worst health care than anybody else in this province. And it's because two governments have pointed a finger back and forth who is responsible to serve us. Who is responsible to ensure programs and services are there to protect our kids and our elders when they're sick, when they need support in health programs. Both governments blamed each other, and proof is always in the pudding. We knew. We've seen our people dying so young. We've seen our elders getting sick. We've seen people with diabetes more. We've seen people with arthritis, other chronic illnesses. We saw it, but nobody listened to us. Nobody believed us. They threw a statistic here, a statistic there, and say, no, you're just like every other Manitoba, and you're okay. You can get your services. It's available like anybody else. That was not true. We'd have to drive 90 miles to get that service, and we could hardly make ends meet as a family as it is. So the study we did is irrefutable. You cannot debate it. It's the FIN numbers of every citizen probably in this room that shows every doctor visit, every chronic illness, every sickness that you have had and will have. And it shows the true picture of where we stand and what is happening to us. So I told the minister, we need support. The answer she gave me the first meeting was, David, the budgets are tight. And I know they're tight. They're having a hard time. The country's having a hard time. The province is having a hard time. It does not mean you should just walk away from that responsibility. It's our money you're managing. I want some of that money back. So I had a plan. I went back to the second meeting. I said, Teresa, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. She said, what's that? And that's not the Godfather speaking to in the movie, remember that? So I wasn't threatening her in any fashion. I said, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. And there'll be no dead horse in your bed, I assure you that, if you ever watched The Godfather. But I did make her that offer. And she said, what is that? I said, I'll tell you what. You give me these health workers as a starting point in my communities. Let's start off with 15 of them. And they will help our people, and they will bring down the cost of health costs in this province. They will help our people with their health challenges. They'll help people ensure they're taking their medicine properly. The elders will make sure they're getting their needles and their nutritional meals they need so they don't have to go to the hospitals, and we'll save this province money. But here's my offer to you. I will put $1 million on the table. She just stares at me. And she looks at the deputy, and they're looking back at each other. I will put $1 million on this table, I said, and I will guarantee you I will pay the training for the first 2 years. But here's your commitment. It's not free. You got to guarantee me that they will be full-time employees after I finish investing and training in them, and they're going to work for the Métis government, and they're going to help our families, and they're going to help our elders, and help our community. And she said, you know what? So I don't even know how to answer you. It's the first time anybody's offered me money. It's usually they're coming here to take money. So she said, you know what? You got a deal. So we're finalizing this thing right now as we speak. We will be training health workers. They will be in our community, and they'll be dealing with people and the needs that we have. That's just the beginning, but we got a long way yet to go. So, Eric, tell that to Teresa. Openly, I stated my friendship with her. She definitely is a minister that is hearing me, hearing us, hearing our demands, and she's willing to make a difference. So I'm very, very proud of Teresa Hoswell. But this is what my message is earlier, and I'm going to close off very soon. Don't laugh, it's true. Anyways, the message I was giving you is government has a responsibility to take our tax dollars and to run a government and to invest it back to ensure that the people keep on dealing with the problems they face and the struggles, but at the same time, hopefully to create employment so more taxes can be earned and more taxes can be paid so the government can continue to operate. It's not good to put yourself in a position where you're putting up people that can't work so the taxes they're paying is now minimized. Then your budgets are going to hurt as a government. Any government in their wisdom would think, well, that's stupid. I got to make sure these people are working, they pay taxes, I got more money at my disposal. But what we need to do, that's our job. My job in my cabinet is to fight these guys. But we still could be friends when we're finished. I don't hold grudges. We'll have our differences, and we'll go pound the table and get what we need to do for your people, for our citizens. But this is what we need to do. Here's the challenge I lay upon you. I told you this before, and I'll tell you this again. The wealth is in our community, and the wealth is in this room alone. Just this room alone. And if you look at how many people, and I'm going to show you one quick example, and I'm going to do a math example for you, that there's no debating it to be how true it is. How many people get a prescription in this room annually? Show me hand. Everybody gets a prescription. Don't lie to me either. I get a prescription. Okay, wow, it's everybody. It's everybody. Eric, you get a prescription? I want you to see my pharmacy. Okay. But let me tell you this. Nearly every hand went in this room, because it is true. Our people, health-wise, are not doing well. And we got to figure our way around that one. But this, for a second, all of you are going and spending your money somewhere else. You're taking your hard-earned dollars, wherever you work, if your jobs have your benefit packages, you don't have to pay, it's still covered, or you have to dig out of your pocket and pay your prescription. You're taking your money somewhere else and giving it to Shoppers Drug, Farmer Plus, and they're building them everywhere. We have a pharmacy, and it's doing damn good. Your first pharmacy is doing damn good. And we're not only getting support from, let me tell you this, from Métis people, we're getting a lot of support from First Nation people. And I really appreciate that very much. So that's a message that's coming there. But listen for a second. All of you in this room, if its prescriptions probably can range $500 to $1,000 a year. Let's use the number 1,000. And you got 2,000 people, that's $2 million you just are going to spend guaranteed. The power is the choice of where you spend it. You have that power in your pocket. And if you decide, well, I'm too damn lazy to figure out how to go to the Métis pharmacy, I'll go to Shoppers, it's easier. Shoppers is going to take your prescription, is going to give you your medicine, but that's all you're going to get. Oh, you get an Optimum card and points, but that's all you're going to get. The board of directors, the owners, are going to be doing very, very well and very lucrative. You're going to get nothing in return. And I want to show you that there's proof of examples of support that can take place so quickly. We've invested so much money in preparing ourselves for the future of economic development, and we know where we're going, we see the light. And I'll tell you very clearly, the pharmacy will make money. There's not a question about it already. It was already losing off the start because it's a brand new business. Now it's already balancing itself, and it's going to go into the profit margin side. Norrie House is going to partner with us. They're just waiting for a building to be built. We're signing an agreement with Norrie House. Saging is going to partner with us. And we show them exactly how much money they can make. And we too will make money. And we will share the wealth with Saging and Norrie House. Other chiefs are now calling me. They want to partner with me. They see the wisdom in this. But imagine for a second now that $2 million you just gave out to somebody else. We give you points like anybody else. In fact, I was surprised. I went and got 2 jackets there on sale there in the pharmacy, $19 and something. I was buying one for a friend back home and for myself, and just a tin jacket. And so I pulled out my wallet, and she said, "What do you want to use, your points or money?" I said, "Well, how much points do I have? Can I afford them with my points of these jackets?" He said, "Yeah, your points can definitely cover both of the jackets." I'll use my points. Left my wallet in my pocket, and my points through my prescriptions that I gained, just like Shoppers Optimum card does it. Same damn thing, because we spent money tracking and developing this system. But now, they've also make a profit off me, because my prescription, there's a profit margin earned. So now the Metis pharmacy is making money. And the reason it's so important we go down this road is this. I was in a meeting in this region, in the Southwest Regional meeting, and Virginia Janai came up to the microphone, one of our senior citizens. Victoria Janai. Virginia, I always call her Virginia. Victoria Janai. She came to the microphone and to give the government shit. I use the language shit, apologize. She said, I want to give the federal government, she said, why isn't the government not buying me eyeglasses, she said. I pay my medicines, I pay my bills, and with my little pension check, I could hardly survive. I could hardly make ends meet, David. He said, I'm telling you, this is my life, and I'm having a hard time, and my medicine is so expensive, and I cannot afford glasses. How come the government is not helping us? And I said, well, that's a damn good question. That's true. Why isn't the government helping them, provincial and federal? Then she threw an even further curve to me. She said, well, how about your government? How come you're not helping us? How come you're not buying us eyeglasses? Well, firstly, I told her the problem we do have is the monies we get usually from federal, provincial government is project program related, and it's exactly spent according to a contribution agreement. So I can't take that money and spend it somewhere else. We got to make our own money. And that was a few years ago. And I said, but trust me, we are going towards that direction. We will make our own money, and we'll start to help our own people. We'll create our own programs equal to any government, even maybe better, as we get richer and stronger. So today I want to tell Victoria, and I know she's here, and I want to tell every senior citizen that's in this room, the MMF is announcing you are entitled to free prescription glasses off your Métis government. You will get that when you apply over 65 and over. We will show the rest of the world we can take care of ourselves by supporting ourselves. If our pensioners can't feed themselves because they're at such a state financially, and they want to watch TV or read a paper, then damn well we better do something about it. So I'm very proud of our cabinet. It's going to be hard. We have the ability, I believe, within the budget slowly that we're earning to start doing that program and it get bigger. There is no stopping us if we take that wealth and bring it home. Why can't we have dental programs for people that can't afford it? The hard-working Métis people that are working that can hardly pay and their children are sick and crying with pain and they can't afford to take their child into a dentist. On welfare, you don't have to pay. If you're in a job where there's benefit package, you don't have to pay. But imagine for a second you're just making minimum wage a little bit above. You're not on welfare, you're on your own. And those families struggle so hard as it is. But we need to make that wealth. So 2,000 of you can make, 1,000 of you, 2,000 of you can make $1 million in this room, just in the pharmacy. And the profit margin is about 30%. You're talking 600,000 profit we can earn just on your prescription in this room. That's what Shoppers is making. That's what Pharma Plus is making on you. And as little pharmacies go, that's what they're making. And now imagine the 10, the 20, the 30, the 40,000 at home. Get your children, get your family to start using your own Metis businesses. And I will guarantee you I'll be announcing dental programs. I guarantee you I'll be supporting first-time mortgage support to our families. I guarantee you we'll bring all these things home to you. These will be yours. And we don't have to wait for government to say if you can or cannot do it. You will buy your own way through it. So these are the opportunities that are sitting there for us. But we need to support each other. We need to support one another. It is very important that we do that. I had a chat with the Grand Chief a couple days ago on his way to Edmonton. And I requested for he and I to have a joint meeting along with my cabinet and his cabinet of 60-something chiefs. I said, why is it you guys meet over there and we meet over here? Why can't we meet in one room and talk about the wealth we have in our communities? We might be poor people. As single people, we're poor. As a group, we're rich. And that's what people don't know, and that's what people need to understand. As a group, you are rich. So, even though we're poor, we're still rich. Imagine how the First Nation wealth they have. I said, imagine we can sit down for a while and talk about joint relationships. Look at the harvesting issue. Why are we waiting for the province to tell us what we can do, when we can sign treaties amongst ourselves as governments and create mutual arrangements of where we can harvest together, where we don't overkill or overtake, or let somebody else overkill or overtake, where we don't let big conglomerates like Louisiana Pacific, Tolko, just potentially take all the forestry, clear it without worrying about the animals. Not that we can stop them, because we support those businesses. But we need to start signing agreements, I said, amongst ourselves. For example, right now, we're closing all these things. There'll be a resolution coming. We're closing. Again, we're supporting the government, and they have some good evidence. We're supporting the closures of certain parts of the province for hunting. But what's happening, other areas like the Turtle Mountains is hurting. Everybody's hunting there now. And there's no plan for that. We need to find a plan. So First Nations and Indian Birch and all the rest were very upset when Cross Lake and nowhere else First Nations were coming there and hunting, because they said they're killing all of our moose and taking them back up north. So there's got to be a system where we can talk together as Métis and First Nation governments and come to arrangement and potentially even sign treaties and show the world we can run ourselves. So those are the opportunities that are sitting there. It just takes some leadership on their part. But I want to conclude with the important message that is going to be fundamental to all of us. Right now, we're sitting with the government Canada. We're arguing on the litigation costs. We also won litigation costs for 32 years, all the money we spent. Their job, of course, is to cut that down using some kind of formulas not to pay us all. Our job is to pound away at them and say, look, the Supreme Court is very clear on this. Show some great honor and respect as a crown and do the right thing. And you're supposed to leave us in the place that you made us lose, and that's one of the arguments we'll use. That's one segment, but there'll be a bigger place. The Canada has CC'd Eric. Eric's got the letter from Valcourt. Valcourt has asked that we set up a meeting to start discussing the land claims. And he wants his Assistant Deputy Minister to lead that discussion. And I wrote back to him last week, and I CC'd Eric. I don't know if you saw it yet. I said, you know what, I have a better idea. Firstly, I warned you our position. I will not get caught in your red tape. I will not get caught up in your bureaucracy where you end up keeping me for 5 to 10 or 20 years in there. I want to sit down and establish what the terms of reference are going to be. Let's understand what we're both negotiating. Let's understand what is very clear for all Canadians to see and for the Métis Nation to know fully well what's at stake here. We're not going to be sitting in some room with a bunch of bureaucrats debating this issue for the next 10 years. So my suggestion was to him, you appoint your negotiator, I'll appoint mine. Let's establish the terms of reference, then let's talk apples to apples, business to business, government to government. Let's talk business. Let's get this number what it's going to be. Let's establish what that relationship is going to be. And if it's $1 billion, $2 billion, or $3 billion, or $5 billion, whatever that number is going to be, it's not going to be less than $1 billion. I guarantee you, I won't take it as long as I'm leader. And so some next leader comes along, that's their business. But as long as I'm leader, there's no way I'm going to take less. It's worth more than that. We can prove it. So the question we have to ask ourselves, when we get there, what do we do? The wisdom, again, was in this room, not by the president or the cabinet. Back in 1977, I believe, there was already a resolution. If we were successful in getting our land claims, that we would actually put it into a trust fund. In 1991, again, the Assembly unanimously supported a trust fund. So your wisdom is there. You have the vision. Our job now as cabinet and the president is put it together for you. Throughout our time, the MMF brand name is very powerful in Canada. It's known, it's heard about, and we do have, as people said, a very powerful message coming from this province. And one of the things I think I've been lucky enough to amass is friendships that I create throughout. And as I said, I don't hold grudges. I can argue and fight with you, and I'll walk away, there's no grudge. Some people don't know how to let go of a grudge. I know how to let go quite quickly. My mom taught me that. So it's very clear we need to set a plan. So Cabinet and I spoke, and what do? I went and started pounding the pavement. And I had been able, through luck, is what the word Al used. I said it wasn't luck, Al, it was skill. I don't know. Anyways, through the good fortune, over the oversight of God, whoever's protecting our little Métis nation, because our time has come, being able to amass some of the brightest, richest, smartest, well-supported, I will use that phrase, and financially wealthy, to come together and say, look, can you help us? Can you help the Métis nation finally find its place in Canada? Finally find a place where our people will not have to struggle. In a sense, our children will know their future. And that parents will look at their children and not say, I wonder what's going to happen to him. I wonder if he's going to go to school. I wonder if we could afford it. I want our parents to look at that child, and I want them to say, which university and which college is my son or daughter going to? Which university is my grandson or granddaughter going to? That's the question a parent and a grandparent should be asking themselves in the morning when they look at their child. Not, times are tough, I don't know if I can do it. By the time I pay all my bills, I have nothing left to help my kid. And that's what a trust fund will do. Another example is we have a young youth delegation happening right now as we speak in here. And those youth are going to get married at a young age. A lot of us as families, when I grew up, I had no way in hell of getting my mom or dad to back me up to buy my house. They didn't have the ability, not that they didn't want to, but there's no way they could co-sign for me, ever. My mom couldn't even write her name. But they could not co-sign me to start my life with a kickstart, to have a signature that says I have the backup to buy a house. I was on my own. And it took me, I got denied the first time, I think I got denied twice, and I finally got it in the third time. So I had the chance now to build something for my family behind me. But what's not understood is that these young couples up there, if they eventually get married, and they will, your kids will get married, is that as a family, do you know that you have enough assets to back them up? Well, that shouldn't be your problem. We should be creating at least a first installment of being the down payment for a young Métis couple that's getting married, and that should be established in a trust fund. So their future is there and ready. And I'll tell you why that's so important. Because if they do not own a house and they have children, how can they help the next generation that's coming behind them to get a good kickstart in life? Because that's how non-Aboriginal society got a head start on us. They were able to own houses, then help their kids own houses, and they're helping their kids own houses. So they got assets, they got value. We don't. And that's what we need to catch up to them on. But that's how we can establish these trust funds to make it very clear our families will not see that struggle. And we need to put these programs. If we don't have enough economic strengths, then these trust funds should be helping us when we need supports at home. And if a business is tendering a project and can't have the backing, the bonding, or ability to bid on that project, then that trust fund should help them. We need to help our Métis businesses. We've got over 400 of them registered right now in our government, and we need to be there for them when they need us. But we need to have the tools to get us there. And that, my friends, is going to be that trust fund. So I thank Paul Martin. I thank Artley Richardson. I thank Sandy Riley. I thank Eric Newell. And you look at these individuals, and you ask yourself, why would they do this? Why would they come to our little nation and say, well, we're going to do it for free? We're going to sit there and dedicate ourselves to protect your money, to invest it, to ensure that the money will be in place for the future. But not only that, to make money. Each of these guys, some of them are billionaires. They know how to make money. I don't. They know. So I ask myself the question, somebody must be damn well watching us. And maybe it was luck to get such an mass group together of that skill and that wealth and that power into a room. And there's some more going to be appointed. They will set and put in place the foundation. They will not have a say. They're not going to control this money. Your government's going to control it. The Métis people always control that money. It'll never go off your hands. That's one of the things I will guarantee you as president. It'll never be taken away from you, nor will make sure that nobody can ever steal it from you, corrupt it, misuse it. It is your money, and we'll do everything in our power to protect it. It's always going to be yours. Remember that. So with that, my friends, I want to say again, thank you very, very much for supporting your government. Thank you very much for giving me the honor to be your leader. You know, it's very important that you need to have that respect. And I want to thank the elders for always sending me prayers and giving me that hug that I need occasionally, just to bring me up, to know that people out there do care and people do pray and for the safety of our leaders. And it's good to know that our people and our youth that are here at the same time also understand it's important to know that the future for the nation is bright, and it's only going to get brighter. So you enjoy your assembly, enjoy your 45th, have a good time, meet some friends and family, but give us your business, because you're actually putting money back in your pocket. So thank you very much.
You guys can't leave yet. Just so you know, you guys can't leave yet, right? We just have a couple of things of business, and then we're going to have a quick health break here. But before we do that, let's give another round of applause for our President, David Chartrand, please.